Hello and welcome to the Post-18 and Higher Education Evening. My name's Rob Biggs, I'm Head of Sixth Form. What we've done tonight for you is we've pre-recorded the video. So if you have any questions following my talk, please don't hesitate to email me on rbiggs@crypt.glos.school.uk, which is obviously the normal school email address. Okay, so any questions as I'm talking through this evening, then please write them down and please email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I apologise we're not face-to-face in school. We'd obviously normally do this event in school, but as you can imagine, there's been a lot of events cancelled over the last few weeks. So obviously we're doing this virtually to make sure we get the information out to you guys. The aim of my part of this talk of this evening is to talk to you for probably about 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm going to signpost you with lots of information that you can then actually read once you've watched this video. So hopefully you've had the email sent through from me, and you should have about 6 attachments with that, which I'll pass to you sort of explain in a moment with you. Please be reassured that not only do we have this evening taking place, but we have, more importantly, a lot of events taking place in school. So lots of the information that I'm going to mention tonight is already being mentioned to your son or daughter. So that's probably the important bit. There's lots and lots of support taking place in school. This includes, we have careers information taking place in citizenship lessons. All of the students have access to a website called Unifrog. Hopefully as parents you've seen that, but it's a fantastic website that supports students with both university, apprenticeships and employment. So I really recommend that after this evening. If you haven't seen that, then please ask to have a look at it. All the students have got a login for that. We've had a series of career talks over the past sort of 4 or 5 weeks, which has hopefully been helping students to understand some of the careers they may or may not want to do in the future. We ask students before Christmas in Year 12, sorry the bell's now going, we ask students before Christmas to write down their intentions post-18, and at the moment tutors are helping Year 12 update that spreadsheet. So the aim there is that we're kind of getting an idea of what students would like to do when they leave school, and that helps us then give that sort of personalised support to each student basically. We've got the University of Bristol coming in. Actually, sorry, by the time this is aired, they would have been in, and they're doing a personal statement talk. So that's on Wednesday the 29th. We've encouraged students to start looking at open days. So lots of universities are doing open days. It's a website called opendays.com. So obviously a lot of those are now virtual as well, but I really sort of recommend you go to those virtual events, because you really need to explore obviously the different universities and locations available to you. And then obviously we've got the 2 drop-down days. So on the 12th and the 13th of July, students are off timetable for 2 days, where we're going to do a lot of work with universities, with apprenticeships, to get the students sort of ready for the sort of main applications that take place in Year 13. The main sort of focus of those drop-down days is following the intention spreadsheets. We'll put people into groups. We've got 6 computer rooms booked, and students will either go in the Oxbridge group, they might go in a university group, they might go in an apprenticeship group. So we'll try and really personalise the support that takes place for each student during that day, and obviously that we will give them as much information as we can. Our hope is that then students will then continue their research and finish off their CVs or finish off their personal statements over the summer, so when the applications start being sent in sort of September, October, they're ready to do that. And that is getting the students ready for that step in Year 13 in September. We also, just so you are sort of know how things work, we also have enrichment for Year 13 takes place on a Wednesday afternoon. We sort of narrow the options for Year 13, and there will be sport taking place still, but our main focus will be to make sure the Oxbridge guys get their applications out, the university, the non-uni students have lots of support. So we'll use those Wednesdays as an ongoing process of support. So if we sort of go back to, as I mentioned earlier, I've sent out 6 attachments, and I've numbered the attachments 1 to 6. Hopefully the aim there is that as I'm talking in a moment, you'll have a look at them in that order. So in a moment I'll talk through the attachments, obviously number 1 first and number 6 last. So I'm hoping that you're at home watching this with your son or your daughter. it's really important that as a family you sort of make decisions together about post 18. So it might be that in a moment I'll talk through attachment 1, and it might be that you pause me so that you can then actually open and look at attachment 1, and that then gives you, as long as you need to read through that attachment. So I would hope that you sort of during this evening, it might take an hour or so, but literally listen to my explanation of each attachment, and then probably pause me on the screen, and then have a look at the attachment, read it, and open it up. So that's the sort of plan, if that's okay with all of you. Okay. So attachment 1 is called Ucas Information. This is a good read, especially for families that haven't had students go to university in their household before. If you have had a son or a daughter or someone in your household go to university before, you probably won't need this PowerPoint as much as others, but it's probably still worth going through, because obviously your son or daughter in year 12 won't have been through it themselves, so it's still good to do it, but something you may need to skip through quite quickly. So what it does is this is what I would have talked through on a normal evening. So the first sort of few slides just explain what UCAS is, how the process works, how much it costs. There's some just good information on there, and then it sort of goes through the main bits of information, which are the personal details, the courses, qualifications, the personal statement, and how references work. Okay, so the personal details bit is what students will fill in on Monday the 12th, so that should be fairly straightforward. Students need to bring their GCSE certificates with them on that day so they know what grades, but that's basically all the information you would put in: name, address, email. That's the normal stuff. The courses is obviously the second thing. Sorry, it's the bell going again. The courses is obviously the bit that probably takes, I'm not sure if it's the most time, but probably, as with the personal statement, takes a lot of time. This is where students need to do the research, hence go on university websites, hence go on Unifrog, and that's where they've got to choose their 5 courses that they're going to study and the university they want to go to. So this needs to be one subject. So I teach geography, so I'd expect someone to look at different geography courses at different institutions around the country. You can't, or it's very, very unusual for someone to perhaps apply for 3 geography and perhaps 2 maths courses. They need to be related, the same subject, or at least very similar, very related. Sorry. Okay. Students are, as I said, apply for 5 different courses. And the usual rule we would say, if you've got a student who's perhaps an AAB student for grades, they might go for an aspirational course, perhaps an A star and 2 A's. They might then have 2 or 3 subjects that are AABs, and they might have like a backup perhaps as a BBC. So you need a bit of a range of courses. Okay, and like I said, it's really important that students spend time on the university websites and on Unifrog just researching which are the right ones for them. Okay, so that will take some time to do that. They also then put their qualifications in on section 3. Section 4 is the personal statement. Personal statement is 4,000 characters. Again, we'll be writing these together. So they've had the talk from Bristol University. We'll give the information to students again on the 13th of July. And students can either write this using, in Word, or Unifrog has a brilliant section on it that breaks the personal statement down into sections, and I think most students in recent years have found this a lot easier to write their personal statement. So I will recommend that on the 13th, and our plan is that on the 13th of July students in school will all write a draft version. Over summer they will tweak that and update it, and then in September that will be read by subject teachers and tutors, and it might be that some students have managed to do it in 2 or 3 drafts. Some might take more, 10, 12 drafts to get it right, but it's a really important aspect of the application. And then obviously you've got your references and our predicted grades, which we do as a school. Predicted grades come from students' work in year 12. And we will give these grades to students during these drop-down days, and they will have opportunities if they are lower than they hoped at the start of September to improve those, but they are based on the work they've done. So obviously we need to give a professional guide there. We can't just sort of, make them up. They have to be based on what the evidence we have. Okay, so that is lots of the information on attachment 1. You've also got some dates. So the important dates are obviously if a student is applying for Oxbridge, medicine, dentistry, veterinary, they've got to be sent off by the 15th of October. So the turnaround's quite tight. And most other applications are the 26th of January. But as a school, we'll aim to get these mostly sent off in term 1 and all sent by Christmas at the very, very latest. Again, on the PowerPoint, it then talks you through what happens next. And what happens next is most students will apply for five courses, and they have to then wait for those 5 courses to come back. They'll get they'll either be accepted or rejected. They'll get different types of offers, and what they then have to do is from those 5 offers, hopefully students will get 5 offers. They'll then accept their firm and their insurance, and then they'll reject the other 3. Obviously, your firm is the one, the university you actually want to go to, and the idea here would say is, you put your firm as a course that you would hope to be able to go on. So if I'm going for AAB, my firm would be AAB, and I might put my insurance as perhaps a free Bs. It's your backup option. So it's obviously got to be a slightly lower set of grades to get onto. Okay. Hopefully that's probably sort of flying through it, but if you guys I hope you're going to pause me at the end of this section here and then actually look through the PowerPoint, which I've named number 1, which is all about Ucas information. Hopefully that'll give you a lot more information about how you apply, when you apply. I'd also recommend you going on the Ucas website. There are loads of YouTube videos. There's a parental and guardian section on there which is worth signing up for, and there's lots of other different PowerPoints that they supply as a school, as an institution to make sure that you are prepared for your application. So please go on that Ucas website, because that is really helpful and loads of information on there. Okay. The second attachment I've sent you is number 2, which says Ucas Students Guide. Okay, so this is a Word document. It's for the students. It kind of mirrors the information that you've seen in the PowerPoint. This is a guide that we'll give to the students on the drop-down day on the Monday the 12th. And again, it just hopefully will help students with lots of different questions they may have. Lots of the part of the process of applying for university. So that's something that they will bring home on the 12th. So you guys can use that with the Ucas website and with the attachment I've sent you, number 1, to hopefully help you understand how the process works. Attachment 3 is a Ucas booklet. Again, this is just something that we give students on Monday the 12th, and this is just another sort of checklist for students to write down their password and their username. It's just things to remember when they're doing their sign up for Ucas on the 12th of July. So those 2 attachments, 2 and 3, are just 2 booklets that will hopefully help students when they are applying, and obviously to look back at stuff in the future as well. Okay. If you go to attachment 4, number 4 is a personal statement PowerPoint from Bristol University. This has been delivered to the students. Lots of it will be nice for you as parents, guardians to read through. So the students would have heard most of the information themselves. I would probably especially sort of point you towards slides 12 and 13 and slides 15 to 16. 12 and 13 are sort of 2 really good slides which show you how to sort of start the process, how to start, I suppose doing like a mind map of all the things you need to include in a very good personal statement. And then slides 15 and 16 show you the breakdown of how to structure it. And it tells you that, and as a school we'll reinforce this message as well, which is, 2/3 of the statement, should be about the academic course you're applying for and why you're applying for that, and then 1/3 should be about you and your skills that you have to offer. So we make sure it's that 2/3, 1/3 split that you'll see on the Bristol PowerPoint, which is number 4. But as I said to you, a lot of students are moving away from the sort of traditional Word document and going towards more the structure of the Unifrog. So I think it's best. We'll encourage students to do whatever they find the most comfortable when we do it on the 12th of July. Okay. If you then go to attachment 5, this is on student finance. Okay, so once accepted, so once students have then taken their firm and they've accepted their firm and their insurance offers, students then need to contact Student Finance England, and then they need to obviously go through how they're going to finance and pay for their 3 or 4 years at university. And this PowerPoint, I'll be honest with you, it is from last year and we haven't been able to gain an updated version. So please just be really aware that some of the figures might be a year out of date. So please just check those. I don't want to give you false information, but they will be, if not the same, but very, very similar. And what they do is they show you, as students and parents, how you'll be financing your tuition fees, but also your maintenance loan. Okay, and also it talks about how you can access the money and what different households can apply for, and also it talks you through how you can actually then pay back the money. So please go through this PowerPoint, but do just check it with updated figures from Student Finance England. Again, it's a great website to go on, and again, that website has lots of different links that help parents and students understand how the process works. I think probably the main message that we would normally give on an evening where we have someone coming in to deliver this PowerPoint is they're sort of saying, to not panic about the money. And I think, it does, when you first see the figures that, you're borrowing potentially between sort of £9,000 to £14,000 a year to finance, your course and your living expenses, it does feel like a huge amount of money. But when you actually look at how you repay that, it makes it feel a lot more manageable. So I think it's really important that you do the figures on that. So for example, the current figures I have are that you might borrow, say, £40,000, which I know is a huge amount of money, but then you have to be earning over £25,725 a year to start paying that back. If you never earn that much, you never pay it back. If you have a job that pays you, say, £26,000 a year, and then you lose that job or you change jobs and you go below that figure, you then stop paying it back as well. And then what happens is the more you earn, the more you pay back. So the figures I've got is if you're earning £27,000 a year, you'll pay back £10 a month. So that kind of makes it feel more manageable. And again, if you haven't paid it back after 30 years, then the loan gets cancelled, so you don't ever have to pay it back. So what I'd hate students to not do is not to go to university because they're worried about the money. And I think, when you look at the way you can borrow money and you can pay it back, it is very manageable. So please don't make decisions about going or not going because of the finances. Do your research, look at the figures, look how much you can borrow, and obviously talk about that as a family at home. The final attachment is number 6, which is alternative pathways. So I've talked mostly this evening about university. Probably I've done that because most students are still going to university from our sixth form, probably about sort of 70% at the moment. At the moment we have got a sort of a growing number, probably worry because of COVID, and some are deferring an entry, so they are in year 13 at the moment, and they're not going to go in September 21, they're going to go in September 22 because they want to make sure that I think universities are face-to-face and back to normal. We would hope that by the time the current year 12, so you guys go to university, that they'll be back to normal, but obviously we don't know that. So most students are still going to university, whether they're going this year or the year after, it does depend. But we do have a growing number of students looking at gap years, looking at internships, looking at especially apprenticeships. And we've had, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, we've had some students taking some fantastic apprenticeships. So I do think it's important that students look at a range of options post-18. So this PowerPoint just does talk you through what the different options are post-18. So it looks at, I suppose, routes other than university. Okay, and probably the biggest growth one there that we're seeing is apprenticeships. And if I sort of mention Unifrog again to you, Unifrog has the UK's it's the UK's leading site for apprenticeship opportunities. So you can go on there, and there's a whole section on apprenticeships, and you can type in whether you want to look into engineering or telecommunications. You can type in whether you want to do it in Gloucestershire or UK wide, and it gives you all the opportunities available to you. So and it also helps you build a CV, a covering letter. So you know, again, probably, although it's called Unifrog, Unifrog is actually all post-18 options. So I really recommend you to look at Unifrog, look at the apprenticeships available, and we'll support students in year 13 with these applications, and most of them sort of start taking place just before and just after Christmas of year 13. So that's when we really sort of encourage students to apply. And we also, probably sort of finally on that, I suppose, in a different pathways, we've also got a growing number of students that are actually looking at both. And I think that's a healthy thing to do as well. So some of the students in year 13 at the moment have applied for university. They've secured their place for September, but they're also at the moment in the process of applying for an apprenticeship. And what they're going to do is they will they will look at what is the best option for them. So they've got the university place secured, they're looking at apprenticeships, and they'll obviously then have both options potentially, and they'll take the best one for them when their results come out, or before then if they need to make a decision. But I think it's a healthy thing to do, to be looking at different options, not just to go down one. Okay, so hopefully I know I've sort of probably gone through this quite quickly, but hopefully in the 6 attachments I've sent you, there's lots of information. Hopefully you've managed to either pause me and look through each of those as I've been talking. If not, please have a look at them all now. There's lots of information there, but obviously you can just pick out the bits that are relevant to your son or daughter. Hopefully I've answered lots of questions, and if they're not on the PowerPoints, then please email me, rbiggs@Crypt, as I said earlier. And also remember that we have these 2 drop-down days on Monday the 12th and Tuesday the 13th of July, which will probably answer most of the questions that you may have at home now. So it might be worth, sort of jotting down with whoever's at home to say to them, remember to ask this during those 2 days. Okay? I hope this has been helpful. Please email me if you have any questions. If not, have a great evening and enjoy going through that information we've sent through. Thanks a lot. Good night.